right. Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Morning. Greetings from Italy. Hey. Morning, chef. Bonjour. How's everyone's weekend? Good? Hopefully good? Relaxing? Reset? Mental reset? Always very important. Yeah. Morning. All right. A lot of things to decipher this morning. Right? A lot of things to take into consideration. A lot of things sort of developing over the weekend. Obviously some moves on certain sectors to be paying attention to, right? And then also on top of that, major economic news this week as well. So it's going to be a busy week, that's for sure, right? One of those busy weeks with a lot of outside information sort of affecting the markets. So that's something to definitely pay attention to, right, as we approach this week. Cooler weather as well. I'll take that all day, Bill. I will take that all day. I think it's going to be like a little bit of it's not that much cooler, but I heard a little bit of a cold front coming in this week. It's really not that different, though, unfortunately. I mean, 76 lows, 86 highs. It's a little bit better. Nothing wild. The markets are not closed today. Banks are closed. So it's if you have a cash account, and you traded on Friday, then your money is not going to be cleared this morning. Whatever money you used on Friday will not be cleared to trade this morning. All right? So that's really the only thing. Banks are closed, and so your money is not going to be cleared. And bonds, yes, bonds are closed as well. So, interesting day, right? You got the developments, going on in the war areas. I'm not going to talk too much about that. I have no interest in taking an opinion on that here on this live stream. That's not what we do here. So whatever's going on there, obviously we're just going to see how it affects the market. That's all that matters to me. I don't care about anything else about how it affects the market. And so this morning, you guys can see energy and defensive stocks are up higher, right? So energy names like XLE, the XOM, CVX, right? That's the normal reaction to when you have these war developments. And then you also get the defensive names. Biggest one to pay attention to is probably just Lockheed Martin, LMT. That one usually gaps up when you get news like this, and that is what you're seeing this morning as well. So this is one of those days, just to let you guys know, this is one of those days that everyone thinks they know what's going to happen, right? This is one of those days where you wake up, everyone's like, okay, energy's going higher, defensive names higher, everything's going to crash besides those, right? That's the original feeling when you wake up and you try to guess what's going to happen on the market. Now, I'm going to trade off technical levels like I do every other day. I'm not going to change what I do because of what is going on, right? I'm going to trade off the technical levels. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, right? Like what Sakofa said, right? World War III is coming by defensive stocks, right? The broad statements like that. Maybe he's kidding, maybe he's not, I don't know. If I'm taking him literally, where I think he's being serious, that's the normal reaction you're going to get this morning from 95% of traders, right? They're going to think there's one way, it's easy, just buy defensive stocks today and you'll make money. Maybe it's true, right? Maybe that's true, but that's not how you look at the market. So you continue to stay and do exactly what you've been doing. You focus on technical levels. You trade off of them. If there's some key breaks on some levels today to the downside, let's say on some tech, there could be some very nice shorts, right? But I'm not shorting tech today because there's a war developing. I'm shorting tech today because there's key levels that are breaking, right? There's a difference there. So I'm going to stick to the schedule, stick to the levels. That's what I recommend you do, right? Rather than getting wrapped up in shiny objects, okay? All right. Let's go to the schedule. I got to update this real quick. Sorry about that. Let me go ahead and go to properties and change this schedule to today. There it is. So, economic earnings calendar. That's another thing, right? That's the second layer of everything going on, right? So like I said, there's a lot of things going on. Here's your economic calendar for the week. Like we talked about last week, you have some big stuff coming out today, or this week, sorry. You have PPI on Wednesday. You have CPI on Thursday, right? These are big. These are very important for the overall market. These will absolutely create a little bit of volatility. You also have the FOMC minutes at 2 o'clock on Wednesday as well. So today, with banks closed, with banks closed, with bonds closed, with probably a little bit of a decreased volume, I would be a little bit cautious today, right? A lot of news hitting the markets, a lot of outside information. You're leading into some major economic news. There's somewhat of a market holiday. Market still trades, but there could be a decrease in volume. Could be an interesting sort of a tough day to trade, right, today. So a lot of things going on. I'm going to take my sweet, sweet time to let the market sort of show me the way today, right? I'm going to take my sweet time to let the market sort of digest everything that's been going on this weekend. So Monday, that's today. Tomorrow, not really much going on there on the economic side tomorrow. Wednesday is where it really starts, where the party starts. PPI, FOMC minutes, CPI, jobless claims Thursday, and that's pretty much the end of your week. So that's that. Let me see if we have any earnings coming up this week. Nothing crazy. You got Pepsi tomorrow, and then you have the bank. So it is going to start. It looks like it's potentially start. This earnings season is it's right around the corner here. Let me go to the charts. So you guys can see right here, when you start to see these banks report, earnings season is approaching, right? So JP Morgan, BlackRock, Citi, Wells Fargo, PNC, this is like the start of the earnings. So next week you'll start to get heavier, and then the following week it'll be even heavier on the earnings side. So banks on Friday, this is going to start the earnings, right? This is going to start that earnings season. Black Mamba, I'm talking about it in regards to how it affects the market. I'm not talking about it in regards to trying to pick a side or talk about political things that I don't care to cover. Right? I'm talking about it, how it affects the market. And like I said already, which maybe you missed, I already said that it affects energy and it affects defensive stocks. Okay? That's all that matters to me in regards to the market. I'm not going to get into it in regards to political opinions. That is not what matters in the market. Okay? JP Morgan, United Health Group on Friday. We'll talk more about this throughout the week. As of right now, really not important to us. All right? All right. Full face. There I am again. Let's get into the calendar. Tesla, 255. Again, something to be watching today. Nvidia, 452 supply. This is very interesting today. If we can get downside on the market, I'm definitely watching this Nvidia rejection. Apple, 177.50. Interesting level to be watching today. Major rejection off that level. Energy and defensive stocks. I will go over the /CL, the oil futures. I'll go over XLE, XOM, CVX. Talk a little bit about Lockheed Martin. Talk a little bit about that sort of general movement because of what's sort of going on. Amazon 127, Google, an uptrend that I'm looking to see if it finally breaks, something I'll be watching. And then finally, this AMD 105 retest. So still some very interesting levels to be trading off of today. As much as we've seen a little bit of downside, right, on the futures market, there's some still pretty interesting holds going on the overall market. So, like I said earlier, I think you continue to come into this market today with a trading mentality based off of key technical levels, right? I still think you could approach this week, still looking at technical levels, right? I don't think you throw everything out because of some macroeconomic things going on. There's still some very clear levels that are holding on, and that is why we're about to start right now. All right, so Nasdaq futures, if you guys could, press that like button. If you guys are new here, we do this every single day starting at 8 a.m. Subscribe, press the like button. It helps this channel continue to grow. With your help, that is possible. I appreciate all the support. If you guys could, press the like button. All right, so I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller of a zone for now. And here is exactly what we're looking at today. So on Friday, right, we got our big push on Friday. We all know that, right? We talked about that. We talked about, if you guys were here on the live stream, we said do not short Friday morning because of the economic data that came out, right? You had a lot of horny bears, which is what we said, right? You get the horny bears pre-market that think there's nothing but downside coming, that are shorting right into demand lows, right? There was no excuse for shorting Friday morning. None. There's no excuse, right? Market's not rigged. Market's not this. Market's not that. If you shorted Friday morning, you're shorting into demand. There is no risk reward shorting Friday morning into the lows of Wednesday, into the lows of the previous week, into major demand at 14.6, right? There was no excuse. We knew that. And if you're trading just off technical levels, you know that as well, right? If you trade off of emotion, then you probably shorted Friday morning, right? And that's exactly what we were, concerning people about, or at least preparing people for Friday morning, right? So you got that Friday morning drop on news right into demand lows. We held up very nice, and we basically just systematically grinded all day, right? All day systematic grind to the upside. Now, the interesting thing that happened, right? The interesting thing that happened here is that we did get above that 15,060, right? That big supply. We got above it Friday, but look at what's happening this morning. We're back under it, right? This is the major thing to be watching, right? This is the major thing to be watching today. It is the fact that we did break the supply on Friday, but we are right back under it, right? And that is huge. That is so important today. The fact that we are back under these supply highs is majorly important, and the main thing you need to be paying attention to. You cannot long today. The same way, right? The same way we don't short into demand lows, you cannot be long into this 15,060, this 20 SMA rejection area today. If you're long here, you are longing right into major supply, right? And you're asking for this thing to sort of turn on you. So we cannot be long. There's really no reason to be long here today at all, right? Into this 15,060, into this 20 SMA that's sitting right above, right? For us to be long today, we need to see a clear strong break, right? A strong break, a strong hold above, and that is where you have to see if that can sort of develop. If that does not develop, then I don't think you have a reason to be longing this market, right? You need to see this break over this supply high, hold above that 20 SMA, right, and maintain for a pretty long period, I'd say. I'd say you want this to maintain pretty damn strong, right, before getting any type of aggressive to the upside today. So, yeah, I know it's missing, guys. I know it's missing. I know, okay? This is the Nasdaq futures. This is the 1 hour chart. 15,060. Right there. 15,060. This is previous highs. Right? Previous highs on the Nasdaq. Previous highs on the Nasdaq. You're trading right below it this morning. 15,060. Okay? So that's key. Right? That's key. Now, if we drop this down to the 15-minute, right? If we drop this down to the 15-minute, we can see the short-term potential demand. This is the 15-minute chart. We can see the potential short-term demand at 14,960. This is going to be interesting. Can this really hold on? I'm not sure, right? I'm not sure. The ticker's right there, guys. It's right there. Right there. See that? Right here. Ticker. Time frame. Ticker. Time frame. Right now, it's not magnified. It will be magnifying tomorrow. Ticker. Time frame. All right. So, 14,960, right? That is Wednesdays and Thursdays highs. That's very important, right? Wednesday and Thursday highs at 14,960 is your watch on the downside today. So as of right now, the market has traded in two very major zones that you need to wait to decide which way it goes today. If you start trading and you start getting aggressive as the market does this all day, right, you are going to lose your ass, right? You're going to lose your ass if you do not wait for the market to make a decision here today, right? You have to wait for the market to either break above, hold above supply to see if there's an upside move, right? Or you need to wait for the market to lose Wednesday, Thursday highs, turn them into rejections to get that downside move, right? You need to wait for the Nasdaq to get outside of this channel today, right? This is about a 120-point range on the Nasdaq that's going to frustrate you, right? If you do not wait for a clear direction to be made. I would want to wait for us to break and hold under 14,960, or I'd want us to break and hold around above and around this 20 SMA and 15,060. This, right? Those are the top entry points that I'd be watching, right? If you could get maybe a rejection of 15,060 today, that's definitely a trade, right? There's definitely a little trade on that 15,060 supply rejection. If you want to get aggressive there, I would be watching that as well. The easier, cleaner trade is just the break and hold of the clear two levels to be watching today. It is Wednesday, Thursday highs. If you break below that, you should see 14.8. If you break above supply, right, at 15,060, right, then you could get that upside. All right? So those are the two levels that I'm very closely watching today, and I want to wait until they break to get real confirmation of a single direction. This is the same thing on the QQQ, right? So for me, the QQQ pushed up into the supply highs. It broke them on Friday and got sort of nailed right back under near this 20 and 100 SMA. Bevan Abraham, thank you, man. Appreciate you joining the live stream supporters. Appreciate that. So QQQ, sort of the same thing. You guys can see it right here, right? You have that 363 supply, 363, 363, 363, right? Very major supply on the 1 hour chart here on the QQQ at 363. Now you can see this morning, look what we're doing. We're trading right back below 363 on the QQQ. So we cannot be long into 363 on the QQQ, right? That is definitely not something you should feel comfortable doing, right? That is a sweaty long, right? If you're longing into 363, you better be sweating. If you're not sweating, then you have no idea. So that's why I would never take that trade, right? I would not want to be long into this major supply here. That just doesn't feel right. Now, on top of that, right, into 363, right, you also have the 20 and 100 SMA right above there as well. So this is going to I think this is going to be a pretty heavy little area here on the QQQ. Both 363 supply and the 20 and 100 SMA right in there as well. That's going to be a heavy zone on the Qs. Something to be very cautious of. If you can get above 363, and if you can see a really solid hold there, maybe there is an aggressive long entry over 363, right? So see if you can get above that 363. If you reject that 363, then watch for that channel low, which is the same as the channel on the Nasdaq, around this 360.60. If I go to the 15-minute chart and zoom into the shorter term time frames, you are going to see this right here, right? Wednesday, Thursday highs, right here. Wednesday, Thursday highs, right in this 360.50, 360.60 area on the QQQ, right? That is the same as the 14,960 on the Nasdaq futures, right? Same exact concept here. I would want to stay looking for downside today if you are below 363 on the Qs, below the 20 and 100 SMA, right? So 363, right? And then on the Nasdaq futures, 15,060. If we are below these zones today, I will find it very difficult to try to look for a long trade today, right? That is going to be difficult. So if you are below, and once again, if you are below 15,060 and 363 on the QQQ, I find it very difficult to be looking for long side today, right? If you get above it, right? If you get above it, then you can look for that continuation. All right? All right. ES. Let's continue. So, here we go. ES. Pretty clear as well, right? And so most people, right, this is where things could go wrong for a lot of traders today, right? Let's sort of break down the mindset where a lot of things could go wrong for traders today, right? Let's look at this chart. Let's look at the chart in terms of there's nothing going on, right? We do need to consider what's going on in the market outside of technicals, but let's look at this chart by just looking at technical analysis. In my eyes, you are not going to want to short today if the ES is above 4,300, right? And I could totally foresee, right, the people you see online saying, I lost money in shorting today. Why did the market go up today, right? I can't believe the market went up today. The market's rigged, right? It should have went down because of the war developments going on over the weekend, right? The market should have went down, right? That's the very amateur thing to be saying, right? However, I would not be surprised at all to see the market hold this 4,300 and creep higher, right? There's no surprise there. I would not be shocked in one bit, right? And why is that, right? That is because the S&P 500 got above 4,300, which was a major supply. You can see it was previously a major demand right here, previous major demand that turned into a multi-day rejection point, right? Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning, a multi-day rejection point, right? Around that 4,300. That's a multi-day rejection, right? And look at what the ES is doing, even on the gap down this morning on the futures, right? We can see gap down on the futures and sort of a hold around this 4,300, right? So there's very possibly a little bit of a 4,300 hold today, maybe a little gap fill, maybe a little bit of a slow grind up into the 4,370 supply, right? That's a possibility that we have to be open to no matter what's going on in the market, right? That is just trading off levels and understanding the market structure. So if the ES just sort of sits above this 4,300 level today, I would be careful getting short, right? I would be careful getting aggressive on the short side. Again, you have to remember the energy sector, which is likely to continue higher, possibly, or is at least higher this morning, is going to help the ES hold up as well, right? The ES is going to be held up slightly by that energy sector, something to pay attention to. All right, so 4,300, right? Watch that level. If you break under 4,300, then I'm all about it, right? I'm all about it. I'm game, right? I'm game for the downside. If you get a hold under 4,300 and you start to see rejections here, yes, I love it, right? I would absolutely be looking for that rejection and that downside into that 42.40 low, right? If you do not get that break and you are just shorting here because you think the market should go lower today, right? Because that's what you think, and this thing holds 43 and starts to go back higher, there is no manipulation. There is no rigged action, right? You are just not trading off technical levels. So 4,300, that's your level. That's your line in the sand today on the ES. It is very clear, right? That is your line in the sand today. If you're above that, be careful on the short side. If you drop below it, I like that break and retest rejection. That 200 SMA is sort of interesting there, right? Something to watch as well. SPY, same exact concepts, right? It's this 425.50 level. 425.50, right? We can clearly see that level here. That is the previous lows that held this market up a little bit. If I go back, you'll see it over here, right? 425.50. That's your SPY previous lows, which turned into a multi-day rejection point, right? And that we are now holding on the gap down in the overnight session, right? 425.50. So if you are above 425.50 today, I would be very cautious shorting the SPY, right? I would not be wanting to short the SPY into a hold above Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning highs. If you are shorting into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning highs, that is the inverse. That is the inverse of risk to reward, right? That is negative risk to reward if you are trading shorts into that low. If you break below that low and you turn it into a rejection, then you get that play, right? If you break under this triple top, you turn it into a rejection, then you look for that downside towards that 200 SMA again, around that 420 level on the SPY. If you hold above, I would not be surprised to see the SPY sort of hold that demand, right? Hold this demand right here and creep back higher into supply highs, and everyone say, why did the market go up today? The market should have went down, right? I would not be surprised one bit to see that happen. So you need to keep that in mind today. Now, it's all going to come down to the intraday sort of digestion of the price action. That's what you as a trader that is your job, right? You as a trader, your job is to digest and to understand the price action you're seeing at these levels and to make a decision on, if you see the break, make your decision for that downside play. If you see the hold, see if you want to look for that upside scalp, right? That's your decision. That's sort of what you work on as a trader, is starting to understand how to read these levels and the price action that shows near the levels that we talk about. So 425.50 SPY, 432 supply, ES, 4,300, very clear, easy level to remember. That's a psychological level, 4,300. And then on the Nasdaq futures, it's this previous Wednesday, Thursday high around this 14,960 that's holding on right now. Levels are there, right? The levels are very clearly there. You just have to read them, trust them, analyze them. That's sort of the skill that you start to work on as you trade the market. Dow futures, I'm going to give you a real short-term look. We talked about this 33,350. You can see this morning we're back above it, right? We got above it on Friday, and now we're holding above it in the pre-market. That's the same concept as everything else we just talked about. Extreme short-term look, but the most important level today on the Dow is 33,350. You can see this was a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning high that we broke and are holding above this morning. 33,350 on the Dow. That's your level to be watching. Russell is sitting right at demand lows, right? The Russell is sitting right at demand lows. 1740. We talked about this channel low. If we go to the daily chart, you guys can see the channel low that we're referring to. It's right here. The Russell is literally sitting right at channel lows. Very interesting. Something to be paying attention to. Look at this major daily chart channel low here. That is going to be huge. 1740 on the Russell. All right. Tesla. So, yeah. Interesting pullback on Tesla, right? And this is why you need to be cautious today, man. I'm definitely game for both sides. That's without a doubt, right? If I get that 4,300 break on the ES, I'm absolutely looking to attack the downside. However, you can't get too aggressive on the downside yet because there's a lot of things that are still sort of holding up, right? Whether that's a trap, whatever it is, we'll have to see intraday. But there's some very key holds still going on here. For example, Tesla, right? Tesla is still holding above this 255 level, which I'm surprised to see, right? I was surprised to see that this morning. I thought Tesla would be under that level. So you cannot short Tesla this morning into 255, right? It doesn't make sense in regards to risk reward, right? If you're shorting into previous double top highs, you are just sort of asking to get this to reverse on you. I don't think you want to get involved in that, right? You need to get below 255, right, for us to get some downside action, right? You need to get this 255 break, this really strong rejection here, for us to get any downside on Tesla, maybe back into that 250 and that 50 SMA that we saw from Friday lows, right? So I would be a little bit cautious on Tesla today, right? This one could get tricky. It did gap down, but it also is holding a previous double top high at 255 very clearly, right? If you hold that 255, there is a chance that Tesla gap fills, right? We've seen Tesla do it before. There's absolutely a chance that Tesla just gap fills, right? And then just rejects again at 262 supply. That's absolutely a possibility, right? And so that's something I would make sure you keep in mind today. If you're above 255, I would not want to be shorting into that low. I would want to actually be looking to see if you get the gap fill, right? If you break under 255, then yeah, short side, I like it back down towards that 251, 250 zone, right? Under that 255 level. So 255, your line in the sand on Tesla. Watch it. Pay attention to it. Nvidia gap down, right? And look at where this is probably my top short watch, right? If I see market downside, this is where I'm looking to attack. And this is why, because Nvidia gapped back under major supply and is pushing back up into it. So if Nvidia cannot get back above this 452, right? If I see Nvidia start to show weakness here, I would absolutely look short for a move back into the 440 demand, right? Right there. If I can see Nvidia start to show weakness up here around this 450, 452, then I would look for that short side play back into demand, right? And you also have this little short-term uptrend that you could look to get the break, something along those lines, right? You see this little uptrend that's holding? If you can get a little break of that, right? Something like this could be a nice aggressive downside move. So something I'll be watching here, I need to see Nvidia stay under 452 today. If Nvidia stays under 452 and I start to see rejections near that level, right? If I start to see rejections up in here where we had this double top here, then I would look to start to build a short entry, right? And then see if this thing can fade back towards 440. That's something I will be watching today. If Nvidia gets back above 452, that's pretty crazy, right? And I guess that would really only be a long play, right? Above 452, right? So today, 452 on Nvidia, that's my major watch, and that's a major supply level, right? If I go to the 4-hour chart, that's not just short-term stuff, right? If I go to the 4-hour, you guys can see right here, I got to extend this line for you, right? Look at this 452 level on Nvidia, just going back. I know this is a little messy, but you can see it right here. 452, 452, 452, 452, 452 right here, right? And you're right back into this 452 on the 4-hour chart, right? So that's a big watch for me today. I am definitely looking to fade the 452 supply. If we get market weakness, if Nasdaq breaks that channel low, if ES breaks 4,300, this is where my plan of attack is, near this 450, 452 on Nvidia. All right, that's that. Apple. Let's go over Apple real quick. Apple pushed higher on Friday very nicely, except it is back in to this 177.50 rejection point, right? You guys can see right here. You have this 177.50, 177.50. You can obviously see we've made a lot of arrows here before. 177.50, 177.50, all here, multiple rejections as we push up into this 177.50, and that is exactly where we rejected off of from Friday. Chef, after 13 months of listening and learning from Vince, I'm still amazed at the things I'm learning daily in my hectic life, Vince has been. I appreciate that, Chef. Thank you for being here, man. It's been a long time, and I appreciate your support. Yeah. GG's to Chef. So 177.50, we can clearly see it, right? We can clearly see it. If Apple pushes up back into that level, that could be another nice rejection point to watch. So what I will be looking for in Apple today is a little bit of a gap fill and then a supply rejection at 177.50. That's about the only thing I'm looking for in Apple today. I'm looking for a gap fill, right? Apple to fill this gap, this downside gap. Let's see if it can fill it on some low, weak volume. And then let's see if we can get a nice rejection of supply with some downside on the market, right? That's the key for me. Watching 177.50 on Apple. All right, so let's get into some of the stocks that are moving higher today, right? And there's reasons for it, right? Whenever there's like war concerns that go on, the two sectors that usually move higher is the energy sector and the defensive stocks, right? Stocks like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, right? Those types of defensive names will typically have some type of a bid that shows up. All right, so energy, right? It's really done nothing, right? It's really done nothing. The XLE, it's over the last few days, you've had a little bit of a hold, right, at this 100 and 200 SMA. If this moves higher today, you need to know it is purely macro-driven, right? That is mostly why the energy sector would continue higher today, is the macro-driven move, right? So where would I be watching today? We'll see. I'm not really sure I'd be trading energy off of technicals today, or in general, I don't really trade shiny objects like what's going on. But it looks like if you guys are out there watching energy, right, today, watching energy, I would say you watch this 89 level, right, on the XLE. If you're looking to trade the XLE today, I would pay attention to the 89 level, okay? You guys can see right here, previous lows. This previous low, look how clearly it turned into rejection points, right? So, right here, low and low, turning into highs, right? And causing downside. That is extremely clear, right? That is extremely clear. So, if the XLE can get back above 89, it will continue higher, right? If energy can turn this rejection point back into support, it will continue higher, right? So that's the level you're watching on XLE today, guys. And this XLE sector will drive the other names within it, which is, let's say, XOM CVX. So if XLE gets a break over 89 today and holds above, you probably will see continuation to the upside on XOM and CVX. If you reject 89, right, if you see 89 rejection stepping in, then you're not going to see that upside continuation on XLE or on XOM CVX. If you can get that break and hold above, I would say XOM likely continues. I would say CVX likely continues to the upside after the already upside that you're seeing here in the pre-market. These are very messy charts. This is not somewhere that I just sort of go when you get this type of move, right? That's just not the trader I am. I don't just sort of transition into today I'm trading energy. These charts are not clean by any means. I don't think they're technically sound charts for the most part. These are more like long-term, maybe a longer-term trade based off of macro reasoning. Some people like to trade that way. I'm not really that guy. But you can see here, XOM, right? Pretty much just coming off some demand lows. Is there an energy sector catalyst, right? If you get an energy sector catalyst, could that be the reason why you hold these demand lows? Absolutely, right? That's more of the type of trade this is in my eyes, right? You say, okay, right, technicals are there. It's been pretty much sideways, but we are sort of trading near some demand lows. On top of that, I have a little bit of an energy sector catalyst, right? And so maybe I'll take longs off the 102 demand area, looking for that upside, coupled with the energy sector catalyst that's going on. I'm not a trader like that, but that's just sort of the idea you have to sort of look at depending on how you want to approach that, approach the situation that's going on. LMT, this is probably the one that's going to be watched the most in terms of defensive names, I'd assume. And sort of here is what I would be paying attention to myself. Let me get that. There you go. Let me go to the 90-day 1 hour. By no means is this chart pretty, right? By no means is this chart pretty. Here's what I'd be watching on the on LMT today. I'm just doing this for you guys if you're interested. I'm not going to be trading this, but I would make sure you're paying attention to these previous highs on LMT. All right, if you're looking for LMT to the upside, I would make sure you are paying attention to the 430 zone on this stock, on this chart, right? You can see the pretty clear double top rejections at 430 that caused pretty aggressive downside, right? If you get upside, be careful of the 430, right? Be careful of the 430, all right? 430 rejections right up in there. And then you would probably want to see us hold on to this 416 20 SMA zone, right? So we'll see, guys. I'm not sure. I don't have much confidence to talk about LMT today because I know it's a outlier day for the stock, right? This is an outlier day. So if you get involved in trading a stock like this on an outlier day, like you're going to see today, you're basically just sort of swimming in water, shark-infested waters. I have no idea. No one has any idea. I would say the tendency is to possibly see some short-term upside, short-term momentum, all right, because of what's going on. However, how long do you trust it? How long is that trade? Usually, that sort of short-term momentum upside does get given back. It happens every time. So I don't know when that momentum gets lost. So just make sure you are very cautious, approaching LMT today, approaching any defensive or energy stock. It's a short-term momentum move, and you're going to have to be very precise. Just sort of want to give a heads up there. All right? All right. Yeah, if you guys could, press that like button. If you guys could, 1,700 of us, 600 likes. All right, let's go over Amazon, Google, AMD. And then we'll start to wrap it up here. So, next one, very clear supply levels to be watching today on Amazon, 127. Look how clear this is, right? Amazon had some previous lows, some previous major highs. We got above it on Friday, and look at what happened. We're moving right back under it, right? Look how clear this is on Amazon. So, if you're looking to play Amazon short today, watch 127. Very clear level, very clear technical sort of rejection that's coming in. I would absolutely be looking for, if the market gets downside, looking for that short off of 127, right? Maybe back down into that 124 demand, right? Very clear there. 127, 124, all right? Google, this is another interesting one that I'm sort of monitoring here. This is this 4-hour sort of uptrend that I don't know how strong this is, right? I'm interested. I'm interested to see how strong this really is. That's sort of what keeps... I keep thinking about this trend and whether this is going to break on any kind of market weakness. So as of right now, Google has been in this slow trend back into this 140 supply area, this previous high, right? Now, you guys can see we had some previous lows right here. See these previous lows right here around this 137.50? This morning, we are actually moving back under that 137.50 area. So I'm interested to see, do we reject this 137.50 level on Google, right? Do we reject this 137.50 level on Google? And do we see maybe a little bit of a move back into the downside of that channel? So definitely watching Google 137.50 supply today, looking to see if there's any type of downside on that move. The last one I'm watching today, which I probably won't trade, but it is a pretty clear setup here, is 105 on AMD, right? 105 on AMD actually is a pretty clear technical setup. Let me get some more time here. You guys can see right here, right? Look at this. 105 AMD. This actually has to be green because we're above it. You have previous highs, right? And look at all these previous lows at 105. So this 105 level is pretty major. And look what you're having today. A break, maybe even a retest. And if you hold that 105, that could continue higher, right? If you break back below 105, then yeah, you're looking for downside. So for me, AMD, all about 105 today. Watch that level on AMD. Should be interesting to monitor. All right, guys? All right. We can see it, right? We're still stuck under supply, right? And if this thing breaks that Wednesday, Thursday high on the Nasdaq, this could get sort of aggressive, right? However, here's where things get tricky today, and I'll leave you here. This is usually information I stick with the Discord. This is sort of our intraday management of the futures and the very important thing to be watching. You cannot short 15,060 today if the ES is above 4,300, right? If you short with the idea of the Nasdaq rejecting 15,060, right? If you short here and say, hey, I'm short 15,060 on Nasdaq, you are one, shorting into Wednesday, Thursday highs, which is wrong. And on top of that, you are shorting into 4,300 on the ES, which is potentially, I mean, it is wrong in regards to risk reward. It's wrong, right? There's no question about that. Now, does it work? It could still work, right? Let's not get that twisted, right? If you short here, it could still work for you. But in terms of risk reward, you are not shorting into 4,300 today, and you are not shorting into 14,960 today. You need to get those levels to break before you get that confirmation. It goes both sides. All right? All right, guys. I hope you have a fantastic trading day. Be safe out there. Be smart. Focus on the levels. Don't let the stuff going on in the market get you all hyped up, get you emotional. This is where people lose their ass. I'm telling you, man. They trade off things that are not important, right? There are important things going on in the market, such as the developing war stuff. That's very important to be paying attention to. CPI, PPI, very important to be paying attention to. But a lot of outstanding things to be sort of just not taking too much consideration for and really focusing on these levels, right? Focusing on these levels, they will show you the way. I promise, right? Once these levels break or they hold, they will show you the way to trade on the intraday, right? So, good luck today. Press that like button if you guys could. We got about 800 of you. I'm going to have to start running ads, man. I'm going to have to keep the ads coming. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.